Frostfang Pass. The wind howled through the frozen peaks of the spine of the world, carrying with it the scent of snow and blood. Beris Bladestein stood at the mouth of Frostfang Pass, his broad frame wrapped in his enchanted chainmail, the armor utterly silent despite the jagged stone underfoot. In his grip burned Cinder, his enchanted flaming longsword, its blade exhaling wisps of fire against the cold mountain air. Across from him, nestled within the crumbling ruins of an old Dwarven watchtower, a horde of kobolds chittered amongst themselves. Small, wiry creatures with scaled skin the color of tarnished copper. Their yellow eyes glowed with malice. 20 of them, at least. Some carried rusty daggers, others crude spears, and a handful brandished slings, their pouches already filled with jagged stones. Beris rolled his shoulders, exhaling a slow breath. He had dealt with kobolds before, cunning in numbers, cowardly alone. But these ones had been harassing travelers through the mountain paths for weeks, attacking merchant caravans and even waylaying one of Beris's own messengers sent from his keep. That was an insult he would not abide. Tonight, they would learn why they're the first to be so bold on his particular part of the mountain in years. The kobolds were hesitant at first, barking orders in Draconic, trying to size up the lone warrior that had come to face them. Beris didn't wait. With a burst of speed unnatural for a man his size, he charged. His enchanted chainmail made no sound, allowing him to close the distance before the kobolds could react. The first two near the outer edge of the group barely had time to scream before Cinder carved through them. The first cleaved from shoulder to hip. The second engulfed in a blast of flame as the sword ignited on contact. Panic swept through the kobolds. Some shrieked and scattered, others raised weapons and attacked, their small claws gripping spears as they jabbed at him. Beris sidestepped a thrust, grabbing the spear shaft with one hand and yanking its wielder forward. The kobold stumbled, and Beris drove his gauntleted fist into its snout, shattering bone with a sickening crunch. He let go of the spear and sent Cinder in a wide arc, catching another kobold in the gut. The sword's heat cauterized the wound instantly, leaving behind the stench of burned scales and flesh. A volley of stones from slings came whizzing through the air. Beris raised his left forearm, his bracer absorbing the brunt of the first impact, but another struck his temple, sending a sharp sting through his skull. A third bounced harmlessly off his chainmail, but the distraction gave the kobolds an opening. Two of them lunged at his legs, sharp daggers seeking weak spots. One found purchase near the back of his knee, but the blade snapped against his reinforced greaves. The other nearly clawed at his thigh, but Beris twisted his body, letting the attack miss by inches. He drove his knee upward, catching the closest kobold under the chin and sending it flying backward, then plunged Cinder straight into the chest of the second. It screamed as flames erupted from its ribcage, its small body collapsing into a smoldering heap. Holding the line. The remaining kobolds hesitated. They were losing too quickly. One, braver than the rest, shrieked and charged with a rusted axe. Beris let it come. At the last moment, he ducked low and spun, bringing Cinder across the kobold's midsection in a clean, horizontal slash. The creature's eyes widened in shock before it collapsed in two pieces. The others started to back away. Beris knew he couldn't let them escape. If even a few of them fled, they'd regroup, return in greater numbers, or set traps along the pass. He needed to end this here. Reaching to his belt, he grabbed a throwing dagger and hurled it toward the nearest kobold attempting to flee. The blade buried itself in the back of its skull, sending it tumbling face first into the snow. One of the remaining slingshot wielders screeched and ran, but Beris charged after him, moving faster than they could react. With a powerful upward slash, he cut the kobold clean in half, flames igniting its remains mid-air. The final few kobolds, no more than 5, realized there was no escape. Their leader, a taller one with ritual scars along its snout, hissed and brandished a crude staff, gesturing toward Beris. A faint glow of magic sparked at the tip. A spellcaster. Beris narrowed his eyes. He wasn't about to let the creature finish its incantation. With a powerful leap, he closed the gap, swinging Cinder straight through the kobold shaman's torso before it could react. The flames from his sword consumed its body instantly, leaving behind only the smoking remnants of its staff. The remaining kobolds dropped their weapons, eyes wide with terror. Beris didn't slow down. He finished them swiftly, cutting them down one by one before they could beg for mercy they would never have offered to their own victims. The last of the devious creatures nearly made it past Beris, using the slaughter of his comrades as a cover for an escape. It had mistook a slight break in Beris's gaze as the perfect opportunity to slip away. The harsh reality of life on the mountains quickly came flooding back as it could feel its head being crushed under the pressure of Beris's lethal grip. The battle was over. 20 kobolds lay slain, their bodies smoldering in the cold air. The Dwarven watchtower, once their hideout, now stood silent, its stones blackened by the fire from Beris's blade. He exhaled, rolling his shoulders. His knee throbbed from the impact earlier, but otherwise he was unharmed. With one last glance at the massacre he had left behind, Beris turned and began his journey back through Frostfang Pass. The message was clear to any more potential opportunistic kobolds. This was his mountain, and none who dared threaten it would be left alive.